Oh, I didn't see you there. Well, I suppose if you're here, I better tell you a story. I think we could probably get rid of the fireplace. Yeah, there we go, much better. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the season recap of Manchester United. We need to go back and take a look at what was one of the most turbulent and traumatic seasons in Manchester United's history.
Yeah. True.
Let's wind the clock all the way back to the beginning of the Premier League season. Manchester United had started the season so well and so promising. They signed Varane from Real Madrid. They picked up Jadon Sancho from Dortmund, and things were looking very promising. They started off their Premier League season with a 5-1 win versus Leeds at home. Follow that up with another away win against Wolverhampton Wanderers, and things were looking up and a very good start to the season. But then, when things were going pretty well, they got a hell of a lot better. Cristiano Ronaldo, the long-awaited return of him to Manchester United, finally happened.
Cristiano Ronaldo, suey.
They went out, they spent big, they brought big players into the team, and then they got one of the greatest of all time and one of Manchester United's best ever players. The man even scored a brace in his return to Old Trafford against Newcastle United. The place was going off. The fans were abuzz in the stands and on Twitter. Everyone was convinced, at least Manchester United fans, they were winning the league. It was happening. Ronaldo was talking about winning the Premier League and the Champions League within less than a month of getting to the club. Manchester United looked absolutely set to take the Premier League by storm, and then this happened. Astonishingly, Manchester United lost to BSC Young Boys in the Champions League due to a late goal. How on earth could this have happened? I mean, yeah, sure, it's football and anything can happen, but this was just out of nowhere. This loss for Manchester United would, from looking back, start a butterfly effect that would follow them almost the rest of the season. It began a downward spiral for Manchester United. They ended up losing to West Ham in the Cup shortly after, a loss in the Premier League to Aston Villa, but it was a 4-2 loss to Leicester City, which really started ringing the alarm bells. It really started to set in how, out of nowhere, things were looking quite dire at the Manchester United Football Club. But there was one result shortly after, one gigantic result which set the tone for Manchester United's season. It was the 5-0 loss to Liverpool at Old Trafford. They were completely and utterly battered in their own stadium. It was so bad that fans were leaving just shortly after the start of the second half. The Theatre of Dreams was clearing out. It was a bleak sight. An almost half-empty Old Trafford with 30 minutes left to go. How on earth did this happen? It was Liverpool's biggest ever win at Old Trafford against Manchester United ever in the fixture's entire history. 100+ years comfortably, this was the worst result Manchester United had ever had against Liverpool at home. They would shortly lose another game at home against another Premier League rival, Manchester City this time. They went 2-0 down in that game, and once again, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job was under scrutiny. For what felt like the 20th 30th time in his stint at Manchester United. Yes, of course, a couple of Cristiano Ronaldo late goals in the Champions League did delay what felt like the inevitable. But if the 4-2 Leicester result wasn't bad enough, if the 5-0 Liverpool loss was not bad enough, there was one result which absolutely put the nail in the coffin. They lost 4-1 away to Watford. Now Championship Watford beat Manchester United 4-1 at home. Quite arguably, the worst result of the lot. Ole could remain behind the wheel no longer, and he was let go as the manager of Manchester United. Sadly, Rio Ferdinand was wrong, and Manchester United indeed were not back.
Ole's let the wheel, man. He's doing it. He's doing his thing. Man United are back.
Stop the cap.
This meant it was time for Ralf Rangnick to take over as the caretaker manager of Manchester United. With this new appointment, optimism would eventually return to the football club for brief moments. However, this optimism and feel-good attitude around the football club would very quickly evaporate on the back of a giant bombshell. Audio was leaked of Manchester United footballer Mason Greenwood abusing his partner.
Use your f***ing legs off.
No, I don't want to have sex.
I don't give a f*** what you want to shit.
Mason.
Shut up.
It had all but ruined his career with Manchester United, and there was no chance in hell he was returning to play for the football club this season. A bombshell for the football club to deal with. The players, the fans, everybody had to deal with it in their own way. And this feel-good factor that had come into the football club almost quickly was gone like it was never there. And from a footballing sense, Manchester United had just lost another player who was decent and was performing fairly well. And there weren't that many players in the team that were doing that. Greenwood by far had a better start to a season than Sancho. In fact, Sancho was being kept out the team by Greenwood. Now he was gone. You couple that with yet another loss against Manchester City, this time a 4-1 win at the Etihad, and Manchester United were completely dominated. It was like a training session for Manchester City, and the toxicity very quickly returned. All this as it was coming out and being widely reported after the game that Manchester City now had only the second most expensive squad after the sale of Ferran Torres, which meant that Manchester United had the most expensive squad ever assembled in the history of football. But yet it was City, the second most expensive squad, that was getting battered off the park, and it was United that was barely looking like it would make Champions League. The Premier League title was all but gone. The Champions League, of course, as I said, was looking very dire. But at least this season, Manchester United had found a way to make the knockout stage of the Champions League, almost entirely off of the back of many Cristiano Ronaldo late goals. After a bit of confusion with the draw, they were eventually drawn up against Atletico Madrid. Ronaldo versus Atletico again. CR7 had triumphed every single time in the Champions League against Simeone's men. When he was at Real Madrid, when he was at Juventus, he was their kryptonite. Manchester United, however, it was a different story. Atletico Madrid managed a hard-fought win against them in the knockout stage, and Ronaldo had little to no impact across both of the legs. Fans were throwing bottles at Diego Simeone as he was running off, cheering with the biggest grin on his face. He had finally bested Cristiano Ronaldo and even had the gall to call him an average player after the game as well. And only a few weeks earlier, Manchester United had been knocked out of the FA Cup by Middlesbrough after Ronaldo missed a penalty and they lost a penalty shootout. Manchester United had officially been knocked out of every cup competition. They were barely finishing in the top 4. Manchester United was going trophyless. This meant 5 years without a title for Manchester United. The frustration was very obvious. Cristiano Ronaldo smashed a kid's phone after a defeat to Everton at Goodison. Surely things couldn't get any worse. Who am I kidding? Of course they did. Manchester United would go on to lose another very crucial game in the Premier League to Liverpool, 4-0 this time at Anfield. That was a 9-0 aggregate loss to Liverpool across both of their Premier League games. 9-0. And Manchester United simply needed to win that game to keep their tiny hopes of top 4 alive. Ralf Rangnick all but admitted after the game that the top 4 was essentially gone. Manchester United were out of the Champions League. Ronaldo, who had qualified for every single Champions League in his entire career, has now found himself outside of the Champions League for the first time. Mr. Champions League himself would be playing Europa League at best next season. Yes, because they barely even made it into the Europa League. Hell, the Conference League was very well a possibility. They lost 4-0 to Brighton and lost 1-0 to Crystal Palace in the last 2 games of the season. They had to rely on Brighton beating West Ham for them to get that Europa League spot and to finish in 6th. But finally, for the Manchester United faithful, the season of pure and utter misery was over. So surely the embarrassment must stop then, right? Nope. No, it still got worse. Paul Pogba many years ago was at Manchester United and left on a free to join Juventus. He would end up becoming a superstar at that football club. He was so good, in fact, that Manchester United decided to pay 90 million to bring him back to Old Trafford. Fast forward 6 years to present day, and Paul Pogba is again leaving Manchester United on a free. They let a player go for nothing. They brought him back for 90 million, and now they're losing him again for nothing. What is this football club?
I guess we'll never know.
And what can we gather from this ridiculous shambles of a season? Manchester United are a disgrace. The most expensive squad in the world, with one of the greatest players of all time in Cristiano Ronaldo, finishing in 6th place in the Premier League when they very well should have been a contender. All the pieces were there, they could not put it together, just shamble after shamble occurring all throughout the season, horrid results, smashing, annihilation in every second or third game, and now they have finished where they have finished, and it is a huge job for Erik ten Hag. Cristiano Ronaldo has a decision to make. He has not qualified for the Champions League. Will he stay at Manchester United and let that blemish on his legacy pass, or will he move to another club that is going to be playing Champions League next season? No matter what happens, this was a giant stain on Cristiano Ronaldo's legacy. This fairy tale return to Manchester United did not work out. Hell, he was labelled the problem. The problem is an incredibly harsh label to put on Cristiano Ronaldo when he's one of the only players in the team that had the right mindset and attitude. You could maybe say that a lot of Manchester United's suffering began very shortly after he joined. I don't know if him joining the team, maybe rejigging the way that they played, trying to only facilitate for him, if that had any sort of negative effect on their results or the way that they played. Who knows? That is all just a bit of a hypothetical. But Manchester United are in the position that they are in. They're coming off the back of one of the worst seasons in their history, and now we wait. Will Erik ten Hag be able to lift this football club up toward the top of the Premier League table, or will the suffering continue? We shall wait and see. But Manchester United, that was the 2021-2022 season. Be sure to like and subscribe, especially if you are new around here. Be sure to let me know in the comments down below what you made of Manchester United's season, because for me, it was nothing short of an absolute disgrace. See you all next time. Bye-bye.